Alright, welcome once again to this month's show on What is Your Story with Dr. Robert. Also remember, once again, we are back. This is a program that happens every Sunday at 6 p.m. only at Romi TV Africa at Dr. Robert Osoro. So my brother, so you say that you had started this.
Ulipiga ikaenda kwa wrong number.
Yeah.
There is power in the name of Jesus. There is power.
I've no time to fight with you. By the word of God, I fight you now. In the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus. To break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. Let's say it together. There is power. Come on.
Hello viewer, welcome to Romi TV Africa. I'm Mark Collins Ochieng. On Facebook, I'm collins.ke. On Instagram, on Twitter is also collins.ke. Welcome to Newspaper Review, where we tackle about the stories that made headlines on your local dailies. That is the Daily Nation and the Standard. And today, sorry, I'm alone. I'll be breaking the ceiling to give you the insights, to update you with the information that made headlines on our local dailies. Remember, this is Romi TV Africa. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep watching. And without wasting our time, I will start with yesterday's story that made headlines in the evening. And that is the story about Fuliza charges dropped. Ruto wants 4 million removed from CRBs. So this is the first story that we are going to tackle. It's about business, but it's on the Daily Nation. It's a story that has made a lot of illicit reaction. People had to react differently considering this story. So the story is about Kenyans are set to enjoy cheaper daily Fuliza cost, even as President William Ruto on Wednesday told the Central Bank of Kenya to fast-track removal of about 4 million individuals negatively listed on credit reference bureaus over loan default. The telco has lowered the daily fee of Fuliza loans between 100 and 500 to 3 shillings, down from 5 and 6, from 10 on loans between 500 and 1,000. It has also lowered daily charges on loans between 1,000 and 1,500 to 18 shillings from 20, and those between 1,500 and 2,500 to 20 to 25, and those between 2,500 to 70,000 to 25 shillings from 30. Dr. Ruto attended the press conference held by Safaricom, NCBA, KCB to announce the new charges on the overdraft facility that has 28 million subscribers. Safaricom owns a 40% stake in Fuliza, while NCBA and KCB own 40% and 20% stakes in the product respectively. Fuliza generated revenues amounting to 5.94 billion financial year to March, underlining its popularity that saw it net 1 million. Okay, and it's being said that Kenyans Fuliza 1.5 billion on a daily basis, and most of them, they were crying for over the high rate of interest that they were being charged, or they were being ordered to pay. So this is a waiver, this is a relief for so many Kenyans, because we saw yesterday Mr. Ndegwa speaking to Kenyans, or speaking to the congregants who attended the event, which was also hosted by our president, that is Ruto. We saw the major partners of Fuliza, that is the commercial banks, that is the KCB and NCBA. And maybe before I give my thought on this story, I would just like to quote what they had to say considering this initiative, okay, or considering this relief. So this is what Ndegwa, the Safaricom CEO, had to say, that all customers will enjoy Fuliza free for the daily maintenance fees for transaction below 1,000 for the first 3 days. This affects 80% of the current Fuliza transaction. This lower Fuliza tariff will see millions of Kenyans and business will benefit from affordable access to credit, enabling them to do more with M-Pesa. Okay. Now, this is what the president had to say. Dr. Ruto said that millions of borrowers have been left at the mercy of Shylocks due to being locked out of credit access by formal lenders. Okay, let me quote what he had to say. I am very happy that between 4 and 5 million of Kenyans will be beginning by November be put out of the blacklisting. That is very important because these Kenyans have been excluded from any formal borrowing because of the blacklisting. So many Kenyans are expected that number between 4 million to 5 million, they are expected to be delisted from the CRB, okay? Which many Kenyans have been crying for because they are being overcharged, they are being exploited through the interest rates, and now because of that blacklisting, they cannot be allowed, they cannot be given another room to borrow anymore, okay? So the head of state promised reforms in credit listing to ensure borrowers listed based on their borrowing and payment habits without necessarily being totally locked out from assessing loan for defaults, okay? We don't want credit listing to be banned on or nothing, to be banned all or nothing, in or out engagement. We want it to be a facility that gives everybody a chance to be their best on time. We should have a credit scoring mechanism so that borrowers are graduated from the least to the best and everyone can have a chance to work their way up. Wow, this is a good initiative. I would like to laud the president for that. He has started very well. Remember, during his campaign, he was so vocal about the CRBs, and right now it's something that we saw him yesterday address it, and he was with the biggest stakeholders that plays a major role in terms of borrowing, in terms of lending to customers, lending to clients. And after having maybe a consultative meeting with them, they agreed, and we saw that the president was speaking on behalf of Wananchi, whom some of them were really crying, whom some of them they felt the reap effects of the borrowing interest loans. So at the moment now is that many Kenyans are going to enjoy because the rates have been lowered, and as well they have put up some initiatives that even the ones that have been blacklisted, they are going to be delisted and they can be allowed to borrow more, okay? So that is the story that is big, that is being focused on, okay? So moving on also to another story that we are going to tackle that made headlines on these two dailies is about TV, radio signal fees set for shake-up in Communication Authority review, okay? So this story is all about the media fraternity, okay? We are talking about the broadcasting team, and there has been some technological advances. The technology has been able to grow very quickly, and because of this, you find that online content has grown up very fast. It has been able to speed up the process. As per now, when you compare to before or previously, we used to have these we used to have these mainstream media, that is the TVs, the radios, okay, the newspapers. But right now we have the digital media, the social media, that has led to mushrooming of several media stations that they operate online. And because of this platform is that any individual who has the resources, who is professional in terms of media, he has the ethics and ethos that is being upheld in media fraternity, he can go or she can go ahead to open up his own media station, be it a radio, be it a YouTube channel, and be able to air any content he likes, as long as it conforms to the policies and the regulations of the Communication Authority of Kenya. So it's being said here, according to this, that the Communication Authorities of Kenya, which is led by, that is Ezra Chiloba, because he's the director. So he has disclosed that there's a likeliness of them reducing the fees in terms of the broadcast, okay? In terms of the broadcast signal distribution. I can cite to you some of the examples of how the fees was being charged earlier, okay? And right now that it's being considered to be reduced, okay? For instance, it's being said that broadcasters, they pay 93,411 per month maximum for each site per megabyte per second for signal distribution in Nairobi. 39,074 to other cities and towns, and 34,352 are in rural areas, okay? And now it's being said that after the review was effected on December 1st, CS lowered the rates by 29% from 125,000 to 990 to 89,545 per month for signal distribution within Nairobi and its environment. For instance, on major towns, 60% for the initial, 60% was lowered from the initial, which was 93,202 to 37,311, okay? So this is a new tariff, and it's also a green light, or it's also something to congratulate or something to applaud the Director of Communication Authority of Kenya, Ezra Chiloba, for considering this move, for considering the media fraternity at least to lower the rates so that they can be able to do their work very well without facing that repercussions of the tariffs, bearing in mind that the cost of living has gone up, and they also have workers, they have the license to pay or the license to renew the signals, the frequencies, okay, that any media owner is facing as far as the broadcast is concerned. So this is something good. I feel like today we have so many good news in terms of giving credit to. So yeah, it's a reprieve, it's a relief for the media owners. They're set to enjoy, and also it's another dawn for people who would like to venture into online media, that you are allowed to open this, because at the moment it's working well. For instance, if you look at us here, we are operating under the social media, and I can say that we don't have that cost so much compared to the mainstream media, the ones that are operating on free-to-air, okay? Now moving on also to another story that made headlines, okay, on our local daily. The story that we are going to focus on is a story about Azimio, the opposition leaders. The story is about expect tough vetting, okay? Expect tough vetting. Azimio tells corrupt Ruto nominees. So Azimio MP says that proposed cabinet is essentially a lineup of who is who in the dark world of theft public resources. Mr. Wandai promised that the Azimio coalition will be revealing more about the nominees in the coming days, and particularly during the confirmation hearings of the National Assembly. Mr. Wandai alleged that if approved in its entirety, it will be the least inspiring cabinet in Kenya's history, as it is the least qualified to manage affairs of the state. So this story is just about what the opposition is considering, or what the opposition are going to do. They are coming out here indicating that they are going to be very keen. They are going to be very, very adamant in terms of vetting these MPs, okay? Is that anybody who is facing a corruption case, anybody who has a court case, should prepare, or he should prepare to face a tough, hard times during the vetting process. So he or she might be not approved, or he might be approved based on maybe the scandals he's facing, or the charges. Maybe does he or she have a court case? Has he or she be ever involved in a scandal, okay? And also, one of the things they are going to look upon, or they are going to measure on, is about the academic credentials of these people, because there are some leaders who have been nominated on these slots, and their academic credential is very questionable, because some we could hear that they had faked their certificates, so they are not qualified. Some even the dockets they were given, or the ministry that they were assigned to, you find that is not fit based on the what he studied before, maybe at the university level. Okay, so Opio Wanda is just trying to assure maybe the people or the Kenyans that they are going to ensure that they put checks, or they put them on toes in terms of qualifications, in terms of regarding if they are fit to hold such positions, okay? Because they are going to serve us, and we expect them to give us something best to be able to deliver what wananchi will benefit from, okay? Now, moving on to another story that has made headline today is that, let me check to the Daily Nation. Now, on the Daily Nation, the story is about 3 Jubilee Public Service Commission, okay? So the story is about who is to take part, or who is to represent the Jubilee Party under the umbrella of Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance. So there is a tug of war at the Jubilee Party over representative of Parliamentary Service Commission after 3 MPs expressed their interest in that position. So the 3 MPs are John Waluke from Sirisia constituency, we have Adan Kinan from Elders constituency, and we have Yusuf Hassan from Kamkunji constituency. Okay, so the work of the Public Service Commission, the roles are these ones. One is that they provide services. Number 2 is that they facilitate to ensure efficient running of parliament. And number 3, they constitute offices in the parliamentary service and appoint and supervise office holders. So these 3 MPs right now, they are in a tug of war, considering who is to take that position. Adan Kinan of Elders feels like he's the one who is fit for that, whereas the one for the member of parliament for Sirisia, that is John Waluke, he has said that he was promised that position by Raila Odinga and the outgoing president, the former president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, of that slot. And we also see the leader, the member of parliament for Kamkunji, Yusuf Hassan, who says that right now it's time for someone like him to be given that position. But the Jubilee Secretary General, that is Mheshimiwa Jeremiah Kioni, said this, and I would like to quote him on what he had to say about this tug of war between the 3 leaders. He said that their position that the party decides, but when you are in a coalition arrangement like the one we are in, decisions are informed more than just by the party itself. The position should not create acrimony for the reasons that it will be eventually taken by one person, okay? Now, Mr. Kioni has come out to assure the members of Azimio la Umoja that this thing is going to be sorted out. Remember, earlier we had several leaders, but some of them had to shelve their ambition or their aspiration to take this seat. So right now, through the lobbying, we have remained with 3 leaders, and Kioni is assuring us that the decision to decide who is to take that position is not only by individuals but by the party itself. So meaning that the party is going to have some meeting, and through consultations, maybe they will come with a consensus of who is going to take that position. So it's just a matter of assuring members of Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance, that they are aware of what is happening, and they are keen to settle, or they are keen to sort out that Public Service Commission slot on whom they are going to give. Okay. Another story that made headlines today in our local dailies, when I look at the Standard, I'm trying to look at the common ones, and then I give you insights, or I break to you what the story is all about. Okay. Another story that made headlines on our local dailies is on the story to do with deaths. Okay, that Kenyan roads death rise. Kenya road death rise at record pace. Okay, the story is just about the death tolls that we are witnessing in our country, and this was a data that was released, okay, by the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA. So the authority says that so far since the beginning of this year, we have recorded the deaths of 3,286 people. 3,286 people. These are death records for last year, compared to 3,541 people this year, within the same period, with pedestrians being majority of the victims. So among this death data, 3,541, is that the pedestrians are the ones who are topping this number, who are topping this graph. Okay, so I try to break out this information whereby they say that the data shows that pedestrians accounted to 1,269 deaths this year, followed by motorcyclists at 9,401, and then we have passengers at 634, and pillion passengers and drivers who recorded 324 fatalities at each. Okay, bicycle riders accounted to at least 49. Okay. Moving on again, the early authority had warned Kenyans to exercise extra caution on the road, as road crashes have become the highest contributors to disabilities, health burden, poverty through loss of able breadwinners in the country. Statistics from World Health Organization indicate that more than half of all road traffic deaths are among vulnerable road users like pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. Okay. World WHO explains that the deaths are as that of speeding, motorists driving under the influence, non-use of motorcycles, helmets, seat belts, child restraints, distracted driving increasingly caused by use of mobile phones while driving, unsafe roads and roadworthy vehicles, inadequate post-crash care, and inadequate law enforcement on traffic laws, while efforts to contain the spreading number of lives lost are discussed by United Nations Road Safety Collaboration in biannual meetings. The global road safety situation, so that the road traffic injuries are now ranking amongst top 10 killers in the world. Number that's projected to rise its position 5 at 2.5 million by the year 2030. HIV/AIDS, stomach cancer, lifestyle diseases like diabetes and hypertension rank below traffic-related injuries. So it's so absurd, it's so unfortunate that many people are losing lives through a lot of road accidents. We have studied for you a number of reasons. Okay, not complying with the traffic rules. Okay, the motorcyclist riders maybe not wearing, not using helmets. The passengers who are boarding these vehicles, they don't put on seat belts. Okay, the drivers, they're driving under the influence of alcohol. Some are driving while using mobile phones. Okay, another reason is unroadworthy vehicles. Okay, and also inadequate law enforcement from traffic officers, because some of them, they might find some of these causes, but they are always reluctant. They don't take action, they don't crack whip because of the bribes that is given to them. So I think we as Kenyans, based on these stories, we need to be vigilant. We need to take things seriously the way they are. If you are boarding a public service vehicle, if you have your own saloon car, your own personal vehicle, and you are driving, ensure that you tie your seat belt, ensure that you conform with the traffic rules, ensure that you don't drive while you are speaking on a phone or while you are communicating to someone using the phone. It might be through text, it might be through calls, so that we can reduce, because imagine the death rates alone surpasses diseases like HIV, AIDS, diseases like cancer, which are among things that causes death of people in the world. So it's so unfortunately, but I think this is because of ignorance, this is because of arrogance, this is because of negligence, this is because of just being lazy and assuming things. So let's tighten the efforts. Let's make sure that we bear in mind what is expected of us when we are on the roads. Whether you are the driver, whether you are the passenger, whether you are the motorcyclist, whether you are the pedestrians, bear in mind that while you are on the road, you ensure that you are very keen, you are very sensitive, and you consider the traffic rules, okay? Now, moving on to another story that made headlines on our local dailies. One of the stories that I would like to talk, or I would like to dwell on, is a story to do with let me see, two people, a woman, are missing from the incidents, okay? So there's a mystery over two gangland style murders in Mirema and Utawala, okay? So the story is about two missing people who were found dead, and the cause of their death is not known, because they went missing and they were shot. Okay, this story, I think we tackled it on Monday, if I'm not wrong, but it keeps on recurring because it seems like investigation is undergoing and they have not come up with the final findings, okay? So the story is about Kevin Otieno, who was shot 36 times on a broad daylight in Mihango, Utawala, okay? And two people shot dead, two people along Mirema Drive in Kasarani. It has now emerged. And one of the men who shot dead on that day has been identified as Mr. David Ochieng, okay, Odera, and other man is yet to be identified. When the nation visited the scene where Mr. Ochieng was shot dead in Mirema, witness said that the two men arrived at 11 p.m. on Thursday, driving a Toyota Delta and parked opposite Jifiche Bar, which is located at the junction of Mirema Road and Lumumba Drive near Pan-African University. Okay, so they said one of the men then proceeded to a nearby butchery and left the other one making a phone call while inside the motor vehicle. So I think the story is just about the insecurity concerned about this our country. You see, this is not the first case that people are just being killed, people are just being tortured in a pool of blood without the real cause of that execution or that assassination not being told. Because when you read at this story or about this crime, we are not getting to know maybe what the guy was after, or maybe if the guy was a criminal, or what kind of guilt was the guy having for two gunmen to come and shoot him 36 times. It's so unfortunate, but we send our deepest condolences to the family. May his soul rest in eternal peace. But we are asking maybe the investigation agencies and the police to work in hand, ensure that they investigate quickly and the culprits brought into book of account, whereby they will be arrested and jailed for committing murder. It's so unfortunately that a 24-year-old man, a youth, someone that the relatives were looking upon, they had hopes in him, has just died unfortunately. And we always say that a story might not have an impact, or you might not feel the pain or the pinch of that thing until it happens to your relative, to your friend, to your neighbor, someone close to you. So as the Romy TV Africa, we would like to lay our condolences to the family, and we'd like to ask the investigative authorities, together in conjunction with the police, to work on that process and ensure that the culprits or the offense, the crime of offenders who participated in that act, they are brought into book, they are arrested and jailed. Yes. Now moving on to the last story, as I wind up the newspaper review today. Don't be surprised. Today I'm alone, and I just have here my camera lady. She's known Melaban, so she's my director and the camera lady that is ensuring that this process is running smoothly. Now the last story that I'm going to tackle is about the story to do with the gangster paradise rapper Coolio, who has just died at the age of 59. Okay, so Coolio is a rapper who was among the hip-hop's biggest names of the 1990s, with hits including Gangsta Paradise and Fantastic Voyage. He died on Wednesday at the age of 59. His manager said Coolio died in the Los Angeles home of a friend. A longtime manager, Jarez Posse, told the Associated Press. The cause was not immediately clear. Coolio won a Grammy for Best Solo Rap Performance for Gangsta Paradise. Okay, the 1995 hit from the soundtrack of the Michael Pfeiffer film Dangerous Minds that sampled Stevie Wonder's 1976 song Pastime Paradise and was played constantly on MTV. The Grammy and the height of his popularity came in 1996 amid a fierce feud between hip-hop communities of the two coasts, which would take the lives of Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. soon after. Coolio managed to stay mostly above the conflict. So it's a very sad story here in the music industry, and the whole world is mourning the death of the popular rapper Coolio, known by his hit song, a song that made him to be known, a song that he managed to bag a Grammy award on behalf of the whole hip-hop nation. Okay, so it's called Gangsta Paradise. So as the fraternity here, the media industry, his supporters, those people who are his music revelers, those people who enjoyed his music, we'd still like to relay our deepest condolences to the family. May his soul rest in eternal peace. And we know that as far as hip-hop is concerned, back in those days, he has left a very, very big gap that we are yet to see any artist or any music around the world who is going to fill that gap. Okay, and I feel that the music industry or the music fraternity, they have now been left with that gap for them to brainstorm, for them to learn, for them to emulate, for them to be motivated, that they should always embark on giving a good content of music, a music that has message, a music that inspires people, a music that is educative, not just music because of chasing clout, not just music to hit 1 year or to hit for some months and then we forget about you. Remember the time this guy was releasing this music, even some of us, we had not been born, our parents had not met. Okay, but because music has so many genres, and through technology, YouTube, through the mixes, through some of these nganyas that we bought, and we watched some of those music through the mixes, we got that opportunity to know about Coolio, and maybe through that music of him that you watch, maybe at your own free time, when you get at home or when you are free, you can get on your phone, type the song, watch it, go to Wikipedia, Google information about this artist, and then know them. So it is a very sad story. May his heart rest in eternal in eternal peace, as well as may God comfort the family during this grief time. So that is all that I had today. I've closed it with the Gangsta Paradise rapper Coolio, who has died at the age of 59, and the upcoming artists who are watching, or the well-established artists who are watching, please, as you do your project, as you do your work, as you do your music, bear in mind or consider what Coolio used to do, so that you can become relevant for ages and ages, generations to generation, decades to decades. Because a music like the one from Coolio, it will be listened for years and years, and people will always be asking about Coolio. They will always like to know about who Coolio was or who Coolio is. Okay, so from me, it's a wrap here at Romy TV Africa. You know, you've been watching Newspaper Review. I'm your host, Mark Collins Ochieng on Facebook, Collins.ke on Instagram, Collins.ke on Twitter, and I've been glad to give you the insights of what is making headlines as far as the stories are concerned. So you can go to the nearest vendor, grab your copy, and read more about these stories. Until tomorrow, same place, same time, continue watching Romy TV Africa. Like, subscribe, and comment. See you tomorrow, inshallah.